Hi, I'm Nick from Tabletop Duo, and today you will learn how to play Monopoly Builder. Let's set up the game. Give each player the following amount of money. Then, each player chooses a token and its corresponding reference card. Each player takes 4 resource chips of the same color and image as shown on the reference card, and 12 buildings that match the reference card's color. Shuffle the chance cards and place them face down in the center of play. Then, place your token on the go space. And now you're ready to learn how to play. The object of the game is to collect property sets and build buildings to earn the most points. At the beginning of the game, each player rolls both dice. The highest roller starts. Play then moves to the next player to your left. On your turn, check if you have more than 6 resources. If so, choose any extras and drop them on your current space. Note that this never happens on the first turn of the game. Then, roll a dice. Before moving, each player should check their title deeds and collect any resources they earned from the bank, or that players dropped on the tile. For example, player A rolled a 4. Player B has Vermont Avenue, and its description states that when a player rolls a 4, the owner of the deed gets to collect 2 purple tokens, so they get them. Note that if any player rolls a 6, all players take 2 tokens of their color from the bank. Then, the player who rolled the dice move their token clockwise the number of spaces rolled and follow the rules of the space where they landed. If you stop on roll for resources, roll the dice and get the number of resources listed based on the number you rolled. Steal 1 resource, let the player steal any 1 resource from any player. If you land on an unowned property, you must buy it or auction it. If you want to buy, pay the price on the board space and take the title deed card from the bank. If you don't want to buy it, or don't have enough money, you must auction it. Bidding starts at 10 money, and anyone can increase the bid by minimum of 5 money. Bidding does not need to follow the turn order. Bidding ends when no player is willing to increase the bid. The highest bidder pays the bank and gets the card. If no one bids, the deed stays with the bank. If you land on an owned property that someone else owns, you must pay the rent to the owner. Pay the amount listed on the owner's card. Note that the value of the rent increases if the owner has another property of the same color. If you land on chance, take the top card of the chance deck and do what it says. Note that some cards can be kept by the player until they are ready to be used. Free parking allows the player to trade any 2 of their resources for 1 of a different type with the bank. When you land or pass the go space, collect 200 money from the bank. If you land on go to jail, move your token to jail and your turn is over. Note that you can still collect resources and rent and do other actions while in jail, but you cannot build. To get out of jail, players have 3 options. Pay 50 money at the start of their turn, then roll the dice and move as normal. Use the get out of jail free card at the start of their turn, or roll doubles on their next turn. Note, you can only try rolling doubles for 3 turns. If they fail 3 times, they have to pay 50 money. Once a player has moved, they can trade resources or properties with other players if they would like to do so. They may also trade 4 of one type of resources for 1 of a different type with the bank. After trading, a player can build. To build, give the bank the resources required for the floor you're building, following your reference card. You may build on any empty foundation, and you always start with the first floor. You cannot build on top of another player's buildings, and the highest you can build is 4 floors plus the penthouse. Note that once a floor is placed, it cannot be moved. Also note that you can build as many floors as you want on your turn. After building, the player turn ends and it's time for the next player to their left to play. If at any point a player owes money they cannot pay, they can raise money by mortgaging properties. To mortgage, turn the deed card face down and collect the money listed on it from the bank. The rent and resources cannot be collected on properties that are mortgaged. To repay a mortgage, pay the unmortgaged cost to the bank. If you're still left in debt, you go bankrupt. If you owed another player, give them all your properties, resources, and chance cards. The owner must immediately repay the mortgage or keep it. If you owe the bank, return all properties, chance cards, and resources to the bank. The game ends when someone builds the first penthouse. Each player should score points according to the number of floors their buildings have. Then add the following values if they have a color set of properties. Then check who is the player with the most cash. That player gets an extra 3 points. And the player with the most buildings of any height that are next to each other in horizontal or vertical gets 5 points. For example, in this match, the red has 4 buildings next to each other, for a sum of 3 plus 1 plus 3 plus 10 points, totalizing 17 points. The yellow player has 2 buildings, but they are not next to each other, so we count only the biggest one, which gives us 16 points. And the green player has 3 buildings, but they are not next to each other, and the biggest building gives 6 points, so the red player gets an extra 5 points. The player with the most points wins, and that's how you play Monopoly Builder. On Tabletop Duo, we have lots of how to play videos for your favorite card and board games like these ones. Thanks for watching and see you next time!